I was kind of nervous to be on camera because I didn't brush my hair today. And it looks, other than whatever's going on over here, it looks decent.
You look good.
Oh, no, don't tell me that's the first thing in this.
It
That's what
totally
everyone's
is.
going to hear. No, me talking about my hair. God, people already thought I sounded like an egomaniac.
So we're live. We're officially live. Hello, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
That's our intro jingle. Is Xavier talking about his hair?
Oh, man. What an awesome start.
Send the mood.
Well, I'm going to pull up the link to this so I can send it to people. Should I tweet it?
Actually, yeah. I didn't even tweet it.
Yeah, we should do that. Get signal boosted.
I am bugging.
That's okay. By the time you do like 100 of these, you'll have it. I'm like 70 into them, and I think I'm starting to kind of figure it out. Not quite yet, though.
All right, let me tweet it out. Actually, I should do it on.
It's difficult multitasking because I have to type with one hand and hold this camera with the other one.
We've got dead air while we're all tweeting.
What a wonderful start.
It's going great. Don't worry, this won't make into the highlights reel. All right, nailed it. I think I got it sent. So we'll just wait for viewers to roll on in. Oh, I already see some people. What's wrong with your hair? Oh.
All right, so here we go. Let's go. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of Autosaving the Day. The podcast.
It's a great name, by the way.
Thank you. That was Josh. Josh came up with that name.
Nice work, dude.
It's awesome, dude. I love it. I knew I had to go with it the first time I heard it. So this is the podcast dedicated to superheroes being brought to life by the power of video games. My name is Diego.
Digital life.
Yes, the digital life.
I'm Josh.
I guess they would. I guess it wouldn't be technically brought to life. A form of life. So that's Josh from Panels for Pixels. What's up, Josh? How you doing?
Hey, sorry, I can't multitask. So I was trying to tweet out. I'm here now. How's it going?
So where are you from, Josh? Where can people find you?
So I am Josh from Panels to Pixels on YouTube. If you know me from anything, it's my 90s Marvel cartoons videos.
Which are great.
Oh, thank you very much.
I also really like your Ultimate Alliance 3 video that you made before it was even announced. I think that was a really solid video, and I agree with everything in it.
Oh, thank you. That makes me cringe now a bit because that was before I'd started writing scripts. So I was just
I didn't even notice. It sounded pretty good.
Off the dome, but yeah, that's me.
All right, and with us we also have Xavier, who a lot of you may know as Godzilla Mendoza.
Hey, I make videos. People watch them for some reason, and I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
It's a lot of dead air. We're still getting used to this. I'm only good at podcasts when the co-host is my dumb friend from high school who I talk to like every day, because like when there's dead air, we both know just to like say something stupid right off the bat, and it does a really good job of keeping it going.
Well, we'll get to that point,
Okay, yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll figure this out.
So before we actually officially get started, I want to say that this isn't where the podcast isn't normally going to be hosted. I screwed up. I do have a separate dedicated YouTube channel for this podcast, but I just made it today, and you got to go through this whole verification thing before you can live stream, and it takes 24 hours. So I'm going to host the first episode on this channel. and then in the future it'll be on the official Autosaving the Day channel. And
I gotta subscribe to that.
Yes, absolutely. And anyone watching as well, please subscribe to that as well. So like I said, this podcast, it's about superheroes being brought to life. And the original concept for the podcast was just going to be about taking superheroes that haven't had their own proper video game, like Doctor Strange, The Flash, Wonder Woman, and pitching you a video game that, we think would do justice to that character. But when Josh came up with the name Autosaving the Day, I kind of just wanted the podcast to just kind of be dedicated to just superheroes and video games, not necessarily for superheroes that haven't had a video game, but, discussing news, rumors, and stuff like that. So with that being said, we do have some kind of fresh rumors about a certain Caped Crusader that has had his shot at good video games, unlike other superheroes. And that's with the latest rumors of Batman Arkham Crisis.
Man, give Moon Knight a turn, dude.
Dude, you're telling me. So these rumors they're coming from CBR.com, which I'm assuming is comicbookrumors.com. And
Comic Book Resources, I think, actually.
Comic Book Resources, okay. Noted. And
yeah, write that down.
This is all apparently as per a playtester that played this Batman Arkham Crisis game, and supposedly it's going to be announced next month for a fall release to line up with Halloween, and to have some sort of a DLC or themed lined up with what is it, The Long Halloween, I believe it's called. Is that a comic book arc for Batman?
Yeah. I think they're actually doing an animated film of that this year too.
Sweet. And so it's supposed to be announced next month for a fall release, and it's supposed to be centered around the Court of Owls, which is another story arc.
Yeah, I'm already kind of skeptical though about some of these rumors, is because I remember like last year, maybe the year before, it was a while ago. There was this Reddit post that was from a supposed like ex-developer at WB Montreal or something, who said he had been like laid off that day, and he's like, well, they're gonna announce this in a month anyway. And keep in mind, this was like 14 months ago. And he's like, they're gonna announce it next month anyway. But here's the game we're working on. It's called Arkham Insurgency, and he just went on this whole list of things that were going to be in it. And then next month came by, and then the month after that, and here we are. And it's a whole other game now that they're trying to pitch to us. And there's two things that could have happened with that. Is that either that guy was just completely full of it and wanted attention, or because development cycles for games go on so long and go through so many changes while they're being worked on, maybe what he was saying like a year and a half ago was like accurate at the time, but now is completely off because games are like that. Like if you look at like the early demos for a game like BioShock Infinite, it's like almost completely different from what the final product ended up being.
Right. Yeah, that game was in development for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm actually reading through the Court of Owls comic books right now. I'm about halfway through it, and reading through it, I can definitely picture an Arkham game based off the Court of Owls. There's a lot of moments where I can picture, using detective mode and scanning rooms, looking for evidence, stuff like that. That game looks like I don't know what year that comic book came out, but it looks very much like in line with the Arkham games, that tone. That
I think it came out about the same year as Arkham City.
Yeah, it makes sense because it looks like it can take place in that universe, that interpretation of Batman. So I mean, I can see Court of Owls being easily adapted into a video game. But my thing is I don't know if I want that. You know, I feel like that's going to be too samey to what we've gotten with the Batman games already. You know, it won't necessarily, like, I don't think that warrants a whole other Batman game based off the, I mean, they're an interesting, you know, villains or society, whatever it is. I'm halfway through. I haven't finished it, but
I think a huge problem is that the Arkham universe made some changes to the League of Assassins and kind of made them into the Court of Owls in a way.
Right,
because they like had their base of operations underneath of Arkham City, which was originally Gotham City. So like there's this group of assassins that watches over Gotham and is trying to influence it politically with like targeted assassinations. And now, like, they've essentially turned the League of Assassins into the Court of Owls. So it'd be when you said it would be a little samey, you're totally right.
Yeah, because I mean, I kind of just started thinking of Arkham City while I was, you know, reading the comic book and just thinking about how these Court of Owls would be implemented into the video game. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, well, I mean, just talking about the rumor in general, the big red flag for me. I mean, I've got a lot of. I'm going to pour a big bucket of skepticism over this. In that, first of all, if there is another Arkham game coming, it's not coming from Rocksteady as the
for sure.
Because I mean, that's the big red flag about this rumor, is it specifically says that it's coming from Rocksteady, whereas we know already that whatever Rocksteady are working on is going to be next gen. It's not going to be out this year. And I don't think that anything coming from Rocksteady, because that's like the top caliber stuff, that's not going to be that like a surprise announcement. It's not going to be announced in March and then coming out in the fall. So, but there was some concept art a couple of months ago, some Court of Owls stuff that apparently a concept artist put on the portfolio and then got taken down. So I think,
which is pretty suspect, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that, like, I did a video about this recently that I kind of said all the rumors point towards there being an Arkham game set after Origins coming from WB Montreal, and I think it's fairly likely that they'll put the Court of Owls in that. But I've forgotten where I was going with that.
Right, but I can see a game based off the Court of Owls being an Arkham Origins caliber kind of game. I definitely agree with you on that. Not to say that Arkham Origins was a shitty game by any means. I haven't played it in a while, but I've been hearing a lot of people saying that it's actually one of the more underrated games in the series.
I have a very strange opinion of that game. Is that I think it's actually pretty decent. And I had an awesome time playing it, but I can't ever replay it. Every time I try to play Arkham Origins again, I get past like the first mission at Blackgate, and then I just like am overwhelmed with this urge to turn it off and like not look at it anymore. And I remember being like having a lot of great moments in it that I thought were really memorable and cool. I just can't get to them for some reason because the game has such a clunky start. It's weird.
To be, I kind of feel I feel the same way about the Arkham series in general. I can't replay an Arkham game for some reason. I mean, I don't know.
I can replay the first two. Okay, those ones don't give me too much trouble, but the last two, it's like impossible for some reason.
I think if I were to replay one, it would be Arkham Asylum. That one to me feels like the most like tight, you know?
Yeah.
The enclosed space rather than having it be more open. You know, it feels more like just a linear straight shot. Even though it isn't totally linear, you know, it is the most linear, I guess.
It's a Metroidvania kind of thing, isn't it?
Right. It feels really tight.
It's cool because they take a little bit of level design cues from like survival horror games. Like you end up backtracking a lot after you get like new items to get back through stuff, or like it gives me a little bit of a Resident Evil vibe in some of the areas, like in terms of the I guess the atmosphere too.
Yeah.
But I do think the series made the transition to an open world like shockingly well. Like in Arkham City, I never got like annoyed with having to walk back and forth between buildings. Like I think it was a really solid transition.
That's the next point I want to bring up about the Arkham games being open world. So the next rumor is that the map is going to be 1.7 times larger than GTA 5's San Andreas. I
don't believe that.
With mentions of Bloodhaven.
I'm not buying that one.
and
because the problem is that like you don't. At that point, you'd have to have the Batmobile because like running across rooftops for those kind of distances would be insane. Right. Like you'd get tired and bored and want to turn it off. So you had to go from one end of the map to the other.
The next rumor to argue against that is that the Batwing is rumored to be in the game, and not as Arkham Origins included as a fast travel, but fully
like controllable.
Right.
With 100 Riddler challenges.
Oh God, the Riddler blimp! You gotta solve the puzzle while flying. You gotta fly through a bunch of rings like Superman 64. Oh man. I hadn't even thought about that. As soon as you said Riddler, like my heart sank. Like I was thinking about that. I was like, hey, that'd be pretty cool. And then you killed it.
Arkham Origins didn't have Riddler trophies, right?
It had a substitute for them, which was like documents that Riddler had, which were like full of blackmail material to use against like really famous people in Gotham.
Mm.
And they were essentially the same item, like in terms of like gameplay and how you got them. They just look different. And then after you get all of them, you find one last, like, you find the first technical Riddler trophy, like, canonically. I was enough of a nerd that I actually got all of the Riddler trophies in the first 3 games. I didn't do it in Arkham Knight, but I did it for all the others.
Yeah, they got a little out of control.
I platinumed Arkham Knight.
You platinumed Arkham Knight? Oh,
yeah.
shit.
I don't have the patience for that.
Pray for me.
Arkham Asylum definitely had the best use of the Riddler trophies because each Riddler trophy felt like its placement actually had some thought into it. And
although
actually,
I didn't mind how they were more like mini games in City.
Right.
Because they were pretty fun and they were a nice little change of pace. Like yeah, they were more cleverly hidden. It was like more of a scavenger hunt in the first game, but in the second one, it was just more like there's just a bunch of here. Play Simon over here, or here's like a memory puzzle, or here's like an obstacle course you have to run through and like be really good at doing the traversal mechanics. And I actually thought that was pretty fun until they went overboard with it and were like, okay, now do it in a car.
Yeah, they got out of control with Arkham Knight. It felt more like a Ubisoft kind of thing, and the map is just kind of littered with a whole bunch of trophies, and it's just kind of the fodder at that point,
Yeah, it's just like it's like padding out the gameplay instead of adding more of it. It's just like let's take something that could take relatively like 15 to 20% of your time in the game and then stretch it to like 40 or 45 if you choose to do it, in which case like the game is infinitely shorter if you ignore it entirely.
Yeah, that's what I started doing at a certain point. So what I wanted to say about the Arkham games being open world is, to me personally, they never actually felt like open world games, but they kind of feel more like up just a big level that has a more intricate design, the Metroidvania influences, but it doesn't necessarily feel like something like Skyrim or The Witcher or Red Dead Redemption that it has, it's this big open world with a whole bunch of different working parts and like dynamic moments that could happen at any time. And I think a lot of that has to do with, there's always an excuse as to why there's no one out in the streets in the Arkham games. So, you got very specific enemy placements. You got your specific side missions placed. Like, I feel like if I boot up Red Dead Redemption, right, and it's like, okay, so what's going to happen today in my playthrough? What am I going to do? I can kind of just think of something to do in Red Dead. When I boot up Arkham, it's very like, okay, I'm going to do the story mission or do the side missions. There's like very specific things lined up for you to do rather than just going out and exploring and who knows what might happen. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah. There isn't that kind of rogue element of like random events. Really, like everything in the Arkham games is really scripted and controlled. While as a game you brought up Skyrim, and I thought about something in that as I watched this video where someone was talking about how the AI was too realistic and would cause weird shit to happen. Like sometimes, like a bear would wander into a village and kill everyone, so you couldn't do certain quests. Another one was like eventually guards would like leave their posts because they got hungry, and then other guards would arrest them. So then there'd just be no guards left in the city, and like weird, crazy, random stuff. And those more open world games are kind of known for that. You don't get that kind of thing in like Spider-Man or the Arkham games. It's more. I definitely agree that it's just like one big level with a lot of stuff in it. But it doesn't really have that actual like exploration element.
Right.
It's just all laid out at once, and then everything that you bump into is just kind of pre-planned.
Yeah,
right.
And there's nothing missable, like, because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because these are superheroes, so nothing can go on in their story that you wouldn't see. Whereas if you're
exactly
Arthur Morgan or something, there's a whole world out there. But I think what City does really well, which maybe Origins didn't do and Night didn't do in terms of it feeling like a big level, is that every area in Arkham City is really distinct, and it feels like mini levels within a bigger level.
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
Arkham Knight didn't really feel like that to me, and Arkham Origins used the map from City but did it pre destruction and stuff, so it kind of like.
But it was also like twice the size too, because they had a whole other island you could go to across the bridge.
Yeah.
And I mean, I appreciate that extra level of detail, because they really didn't have to make a separate island, but it was appreciated because it just added a little extra. But no, yeah, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think of like the linear sections in Arkham Knight. Do you really actually explore any of those, or is it just like 3 or 4 rooms and then you're done?
Not really. I mean, besides finding either a Riddler trophy or one of those Riddler clues where you got to scan something with your in first person. Oh, no, that doesn't have to be first person mode, but yeah. Besides that, there's nothing. Yeah, like Josh said, there's nothing you could really miss. There's just, I mean, they're really cool design levels, and they're and all that. But there's really nothing that you can.
They keep you way more on a rail in that game, surprisingly. Like you could almost argue that Arkham Knight could be the most linear of all of the games, despite having the biggest map.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments, especially when there's that one moment where Batman's like cornered off, and you got to call the Batmobile to kind of save, to gun down, but with rubber bullets when you're surrounded. I think it's like when the Arkham Knight first shows up. That one part felt really scripted, and in my opinion, and I think kind of giving all the gadgets to the player. And did we lose Xavier?
No, I'm here. I just I was plugging my phone in because I realized it's dying.
Sorry.
We can't do this Google Chats thing on desktop for some reason, so I've been having to hold my phone this entire time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, continue. I didn't mean to derail you.
No, it's all good. So I think moments like that where it's like, oh, look at this really cool moment where Batman had to use his gadgets to get himself out of a corner. I think kind of, having situations like that, but not having you specifically use a certain gadget, kind of giving you the freedom to figure out, it's like, okay, I have my gadgets. I'm in this rut. What can I do to get myself out of it? To kind of really make you feel like Batman because you yourself figured it out, rather than the game telling you, okay, take out this thing. All right, call your Batmobile. All right, now switch over to the Batmobile and gun down the villains.
Yeah.
So I think something like that would make the game feel more dynamic in a way, rather than making it feel like you're on rails and the game's just holding your hand throughout.
Yeah, and I think Spider-Man.
Do you think a Batman game could benefit from random crimes, just like preset, like here's like 15 or 20 random things that could happen but don't always happen. Like, do you think a Batman game could work with that, like the same way Spider-Man did?
I think so. I think even though it's a really primitive game, Batman and Robin on the PS1 had something like that, didn't it?
Yeah, it might have. I barely remember anything about that game other than a very weird, badly modeled, like PS1 Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze.
That game freaked me out because of those weird looking models. You were gonna say something, Josh?
Well, I can't remember. Did they have the bat nipples on the PS1 models?
I don't know.
Lara Croft style. Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
I think often the Arkham games are set over like one night. That's the issue with that. Is it's like, whereas Spider-Man's over whatever that was, like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah, couple weeks.
Yeah, so it maybe wouldn't fit into that narrative is the only thing I can think of. But
now the interesting thing, I have another rumor here that there's going to be a supposed day and night cycle.
That would be kind of neat because I've like I remember distinctly around the first time I ever beat Asylum, I was starting to think, wow, this is a really, what time did Batman bring in the Joker before all this started? Like, it would have been like right after the sun went down because it's been like 12 hours and it's still dark out. And then it gets even worse in the sequels where like Arkham City has 25 straight hours worth of gameplay of like stuff to do, and the sun, like the position of the moon never changes.
Batman must have super speed and he's just doing all this really fast. And
it's interpretive. He's actually running way faster. They had to slow it down for you gamers to see it, but
yeah,
man, he's Batmaning like 30% faster than you can even tell.
Do you think a day and night cycle would work in a Batman game, Josh?
I don't want to see the opening cutscene to Justice League Heroes where you'd see Batman on the rooftop in like broad daylight and he just looks like an absolute clown. I'm not sure I want to see that, to be honest.
No, I mean, I think, all right, so let's say this game is a prequel. So it's set after Origins, before Asylum. And I don't remember at the end of Origins if the police department is, besides Gordon, is all cool with Batman. So maybe during the day, you kind of have to rush to the Batcave or maybe be more stealthy when you're exploring because the cops might be on you or something like that.
Cool, then by the end of Arkham Origins, because like one of the big arcs in that game was Jim Gordon seeing that Batman wasn't a psycho,
right?
Had the option to kill the Joker and then didn't, and he's like, "Hey, you're all right, fella," and then gave him a big hug and said, "I might sleep with your daughter. I don't know yet," and then like flew off. It's been a while since I played it. I don't know exactly what they said. Anyway, I think around a sequel, it would make sense if the cops were still a little uneasy around Batman and like added a little extra challenge. But like, it'd be kind of cool. And the other half is like pro Batman, and like they're arguing amongst themselves, and like I don't know which one they are.
Starting to break up there a little bit, X.
Oh, I would say that'd be cool. Half the police first was like anti-Batman, and the other was like pro-Batman. So you were like hesitant to approach a police officer because you didn't know which one they would be.
Right.
Yeah, I think in the absence of the Telltale games, you could bring in some of that kind of.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The Bruce Wayne duality stuff, that would be interesting.
Actually, yeah, I didn't think of that. That could be a good way of having that day and night.
I can't.
Oh man, that's kind of sad because I was thinking like as soon as the Arkham series ended, we at least had the Telltale games, and now those are gone. So it's like, what do we got?
Yeah.
I actually only recently started playing the first season because I'm not big on the Telltale stuff, but I really like that version of Bruce Wayne.
Oh yeah.
That kind of dynamic brought into a more like a third-person action game, really.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that.
So there's also rumors of a co-op mode with characters like Nightwing and Jason Todd as Robin being playable. It doesn't say if the main game is going to be co-op, but a separate side missions are going to be playable co-op. And
I could buy that because Arkham Origins did do that.
Right, it had the multiplayer mode, but
which apparently is like dead. Like the servers don't work for it anymore. I heard.
I think they only work on 360.
Bizarre and like specific that it only works.
Yeah, I
one version.
saw a recent episode of The Completionist, and he said he had to play it through 360 to get the multiplayer trophies. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd definitely be better to have a campaign-based co-op mode rather than a multiplayer one, because I tried the Origins multiplayer mode. I mean, I think I'm only played like one match, and I didn't even get to play as Batman or Robin, so it just felt like I was playing Gears of War or something like that. so having like a co-op campaign story based, I think would definitely be better. I mean, having a Batman. I mean, if the next Arkham game could be a focus on just having a co-op game that's like Batman and Robin. This is the Arkham is
like the whole point of the game is this co-op mechanic,
right? To have Batman and Robin.
I mean, it's something different, and it's a new gameplay mechanic to lean on that isn't the stupid car. So yeah, I'd be down for that.
Arkham Knight had the co-op,
the team takedowns,
exactly. Yeah, so
which like it's so weird that like they have this mechanic that I feel like would have worked way better for a co-op thing, but they're like, well, let's just put it in a single player. It's like. Yeah, there's so much stuff you can do with the Bat family dynamic because there's just like so many stories and so many character interactions, and they just seem to like barely touch any of that, and like kind of half-ass anytime they even have to do that much. So I would definitely be down for more with that.
Yeah, and at that, I mean, they're all there, right? Because you got Dick Grayson, you got Jason Todd,
Tim Drake.
Barbara
Gordon is canon too.
Yeah, they're all there. I guess the only one that hasn't
been even Catwoman.
Yeah, the only one that has been introduced is Damian Wayne. He doesn't exist in the Arkham games at this point.
I don't think he ever will because Talia died.
Oh yeah, you were saying, Josh?
Well, that was rumored for a long time after 9.
Right, a Damian Wayne game, right?
Yeah, as a way of in the fact that Bruce is out of action or whatever at the end of 9. So.
I love how the Arkham Knight ending is so unclear and bizarre and stupid that we still don't know exactly even what that was trying to say.
Right, so
it's been 4 years almost, and we don't know what that was.
So that's
and it's not like a. Okay, you go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that's kind of the big next topic I wanted to get, like the whole pitch your next Batman game topic.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to get into was. All right, taking that ending from Arkham Knight, what do you think the next if it has to be a Batman game, what do you think the next Batman game should be? Should there even be another Batman game? Should Rocksteady work on something else instead?
I think.
Oh man,
I've always said that as lame as it was, that is like a definitive ending to Batman in the Arkhamverse. But if I was to see him after that point as like Bruce as Batman, I'd want it set off world as part of a Justice League thing. Because I interpret that as he's gone back underground and he's gone back to being an urban legend kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? No one knows if he's really back in action or you know what I mean. So like Bruce has set up like a second Batcave just in the sewers somewhere, and the original one is completely collapsed. And he makes it a point to never show up in public as not Batman, and if he does, he's in heavy disguise, he's doing the Raphael from Ninja Turtles thing where he's got a trench coat and a hat.
Right.
So he just because as far as the public knows, he's dead. So he's. I could see there being some kind of cool missions with that, is trying to get around somewhere as Bruce Wayne, but not be spotted as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that day and night cycle, I got to do something with the daytime,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
The end.
Bruce has to go get groceries.
It's been a few years now, but it's the ending. So basically, you see him swoop towards the camera, but it's all like fear gassy. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. It looks like demonic, and he's got the big bat wings spread out and everything.
And really, the only reason they had to like shoehorn that in was because you needed to be able to return to the open world, to free roam afterwards. Or leave it open.
Right.
I think someone actually zoomed in on the character model from that final cutscene, and that weird like demon Batman is the same thing that Scarecrow sees like a couple scenes earlier when he's having his freak out. So I think the implication is that it's Bruce using fear toxin, I guess.
Which is cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that could be some mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Batman Begins kind of did something like that, didn't it? When you see demonic Batman when you're interrogating bad guys.
And like, I hate to bring up Batman v Superman.
But
that idea
it's a sore subject, man. Be careful.
That idea of a hardened, Frank Miller. They should fucking do. Excuse my French.
So good.
Dark Knight Returns. That I mean, don't do it Zack Snyder style, but
just have it be like a more clear-cut adaptation. Keep that one lady who has the swastika nipple pasties that Batman fights while dressed up as a grandma.
Exactly. Yeah.
Remember that? Remember when people say that Dark Knight Returns is like the best Batman story ever, and there's a scene where he fights a topless woman with swastika nipple pasties in a sewer while dressed as a grandma, and he doesn't take the costume off the entire time?
I guess it was a different time.
I'd love to know.
The 80s were crazy, man.
The decade of cocaine. The decade of cocaine. But I'd love to know, like, Dark Knight Returns is always, this is changing the subject, but is always like at the top of the must-read Batman. Right. I'd love to know how many people come from, the Nolan films or whatever, like, and just go, oh, I want to read the must-read Batman story, and then they go, what? What?
What is happening?
So I mean, personally, man, if I had to have another Batman game, I'd love to go with Batman Beyond.
Oh, absolutely! Holy shit!
I think Batman Beyond. First of all, there's the setting. This cyberpunk aesthetic with super tall skyscrapers, flying cars everywhere and shit like that.
Oh man.
Blade Runner, Spider-Man 2099 style. Just like I remember the levels from Shattered Dimensions in 2099. I'm like, man, I would love to just have an open world game set in a city like this.
That just looks like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I could totally imagine like Arkham style gameplay, but in that setting being like awesome. And then the best part is that added layer, because Terry McGinnis's suit has like jet boots and like glider wings, so he wouldn't even be like floating around. He'd be just like darting around through like between buildings, like a whole other. You wouldn't even need a Batmobile.
Exactly. Yeah. Terry McGinnis having that whole gadget with the rocket boots. That's a whole new element, to introduce into a Batman game that's going to make it feel totally different from the ones we've had already.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, in terms of that traversal, that would justify them scaling the city up as well, rather than having to, put in more Batmobile stuff or whatever.
Right. Yeah. With the bigger scale and having the rocket boots will make sense. It'd be cool, having to dodge, because me and you, we were having a discussion about flight in video games, and that's a whole nother episode I want to dedicate to, adapting flight into games. But I think having a rocket, you got the rocket boots, which don't even have to be like unlimited boosting. It could be like a meter where you kind of have to be smart and plan out like your trajectory when you're gonna boost yourself to kind of keep a smooth rhythm going with the combination of gliding and the rocket boots. And you also got the element of, like, say, there is flying cars. You have to dodge around flying cars to not mess up your flow when you're traversing the city.
Yeah, and that hasn't really been done.
Yeah, like
Like we're getting Cyberpunk.
High-speed traffic, like 200 feet off the ground, would be awesome.
Yeah, we're getting Cyberpunk 2077, and
I
think we're going to see a lot of these kind of Blade Runner style.
The age of Cyberpunk is coming.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't even thought about that. Is like as soon as a big game like that comes out and kind of finally like nails some kind of aesthetic or some kind of gameplay style, like a million copycats come out like right after. I could totally see that having a big effect on other games. That's smart. I haven't even thought about that.
How do you translate that suit though? Because they've done the suits in the other Arkham games, and with that like.
Right, there's been a couple of different versions of it, and
I like Batman Beyond's suit as like it's like an Iron Man suit hidden under a layer of cloth. It's like all skin, like, all the nanotech that's like you can't even tell it's under there. So that's why he because it enhances his strength. It makes it so he can get tossed through a brick wall and not even really feel it. And the jet boots and all these like things inside of the gloves, like I kind of like that because I haven't seen many other sci-fi costumes kind of like that. Like they always have these characters wearing like Iron Man armor lately, and I think that would be more creative, is to do it like how the cartoon did it.
Something that I like about Batman costumes is when they don't look too obvious that they're like armor or whatever, because then it takes away from the like, is he a bat creature? Is he like this sort of supernatural being?
When it looks like he's wearing spandex and then you shoot him in the chest and it doesn't do anything, it's a lot scarier if you're like a crook. But if he looks like a guy wearing like just this giant plate metal armor suit with like straps and buckles, and it like shines in the moonlight like it's clearly made of metal, like he's gonna be able to take some small arms fire, like.
Or like a big white carbon fiber spider on his chest.
Yeah.
I hate that suit so much. I'm sorry.
Really?
I do too. I do too. I defended it, but like as time went on, the more I looked at it, I was like, no.
I don't know why this is the MCU age of being scared of spandex suits. Everything has to be Kevlar.
Man,
yeah, everything's Kevlar. Yeah.
There's a lot of design principles that are like really popular right now that drive me crazy. Like everything has to have like a ton of line detail. Everything has to have texture and line detail. Even a suit like Spider-Man has to have like all kinds of crazy zigzag like lines on the blue parts, and then like extra lines on the red parts anyway, even though a suit already has lines.
Yeah,
you gotta like put these segments and like have it be like really layered. Like it drives me crazy how like Alex Ross has done like 40 years worth of art as like, here, look, you can have these suits look pretty cool in a really realistic way.
They don't look silly. You guys ever seen Batman Dead End?
Yeah,
dude, that's like my favorite on-screen Batman costume.
Or have you seen that other one, City of Scars? By those like Bat and the Sun people.
Yeah. It looks sick, dude.
Those costumes are great, and they really just embrace that like all of the armor shit is on the underlay. Like in my mind, the ideal Batman suit is the one from The Dark Knight. It's just got a layer of spandex or like some kind of like thin cloth over it that gives it a little extra color. So like you have all this like armor, and it would make sense that he can take some punishment while wearing it, but you don't just see all of that, and it's not just like cluttered and looks like a billion different plates just kind of having to fold in and out of each other.
Yeah, looking like a transformer or something.
Yeah, right.
As messy as BVS was, I think the Batman costume from BVS had a good balance of. Look simplified and sleek, but also armored.
And then the one from Justice League comes out, and it's the same almost, but it has extra lines on it, and even like armor plating on some parts of it. Like it has like highlighted abs because it has like
Yeah.
metal plates on the outside. And it's like, well, what was the whole point of doing it right the first time if you're just gonna fuck it up right away?
Yeah, they really did. I thought the BVS costume was perfect, and then they
Yeah.
darkened it a lot. Which, I mean, we've already had a whole bunch of movies where the Batman costume is all black. I wanted more
gray and blue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question, and this is super important and on topic.
Uh-huh.
Do you keep the trunks? It's a hard one, right?
You know, you brought up the Bat and the Sun guys, and if you've ever seen the Batman versus Darth Vader video,
I did, like, right when it came out, which is like a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, but he wears pants, like these cargo, like, you know, tactical looking pants, and around the crotch area it's black, you know, while the rest of the legs are gray. You got the crotch area has like a different material, I guess, and it's black. And I think that's kind of I mean, I don't think the trunks don't not work, because like I said, a Batman Dead End, it's you know, literally right from the comics, the costume. I mean, it's even just cloth. It's not even armor, which I guess is not very realistic. But I mean, it just looks so. He's even got like the white contacts for his eyes, so he looks super badass and intimidating.
Yeah.
But
well, Arkham Origins did a clever take on that, is because even though that's kind of like one of the more armory suits and looks a little more like Dark Knight, like there's like gray armor plating on his legs, and then like an underlayer of just cloth beneath that's black, and it's just kind of like there's no armor plates on like the crotch region, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So it looks like black pants underneath of a bunch of gray armor plates.
Yeah.
It has the same kind of look, but not quite. Like it makes sense the way they did it there.
Yeah, I think that's something similar to what the Bat and the Sun guys did with their in the Batman versus Darth Vader video.
Yeah. I just pulled up the clip right now to check, and you're totally right. It's like pants with armor plates on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it works.
I think it's important because you need to break up the gray, because a lot of modern,
it makes him look naked, which is great.
Look like like he looks like a naked gray guy with a belt and boots and gloves. Like it looks
super
awkward.
Looks
weird.
Yeah, same thing with Superman.
I don't think it's as essential with Batman and Superman, personally. Like Superman, absolutely, because it is all blue.
Yeah,
right.
Batman, there's more going on with the utility belt and things like that.
That's true.
Yeah, there's more design elements to focus on, but with Superman, it's like the Man of Steel suit is, I think, the most cluttered and over-designed I think you could possibly make that suit, and it's not very over-designed at all. Like it's just hard to make that suit look jumbled up because it's so basic.
Yeah, again, you know, going back with the textures, and they have a lot of little designs on the shield on his chest, kind of taking designs from it. You know, if you remember the opening scene in Krypton, all those weird like headgear that they had, and even their clothes kind of had like a similar pattern. So I guess it's kind of to show that it's from that culture, you know.
Yeah. I think like the actual scales on it are like letters in Kryptonian.
Yeah,
like the whole thing is like a note written about tonight or the Kryptonian culture or something, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, how do you guys feel about the Superman Return? I thought the Superman Returns costume wasn't while the red parts are a little dark, they look kind of maroon. I think it worked.
The chest symbol was kind of,
it was tiny
of its time. It's kind of like it looked plasticky and
like this is this chunk of plastic.
I think the only part of Superman's costume that I consistently don't like and think needs to be better is the sleeves, because it just looks like he's wearing like
Say again? You kind of broke up a bit.
Oh, sorry. I think the only problem about Superman's costume that I think there needs to be some kind of workaround or some kind of like redesign is his sleeves always just look like a sweater. Like they just cut off Like there's no glove, there's no gauntlet. It just stops, and it really makes it look like the top piece of his costume is just a shirt.
Yeah. Man of Steel did that gauntlet looking thing towards.
I thought that was all right.
Yeah,
I like that.
So did you say what do you think Rocksteady's like next Batman game should be, or
did I say
you know, or like, do you think Rocksteady should? Is it time for them to? Do you think they're
come
right
back?
do you think they're right for like a different DC character? Should they make their own original character? You know,
I think it's just such a complicated topic at this point. Like, I know for sure they don't want to do another one. They like got burned out on Batman, and it's like really clear in Arkham Knight that they were just like tired. I think that it would be better for them if they had a new character, because what they did with Batman is they essentially took a character who didn't really work in video games like as well as he could have before, and they sat down and they like looked at every individual part of this character and went, how can we make a mechanic out of this? And there are so many characters that we still have no idea how that would like play as a video game. Like, how the hell would you make a game out of the Flash? Like, what would that look like? How would that play? How do you translate that to something that someone can control?
Exactly.
I want people like Rocksteady, because when you ask them to like really think outside the box, they can do it. I would love for them to sit down and look at a character other than Batman and go, what can we do with this? Follow up to the Arkham series. I don't know. I would get more like greater DC universe connections going. Like, shit, dude, have him ask like Dr. Fate to erase everyone's memory of Arkham Knight. Just, can you pull a one more day kind of thing? Just have everyone forget that I'm Bruce Wayne, because it sucks living in this shitty Bat cave in the sewer.
What do you think, Josh? Is there another character you think Rocksteady would be appropriate for, or original world or something like that?
I think it'd be interesting to see. Rocksteady owned by Warner Brothers,
right?
That must be right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting if they just put them on something totally non-DC related, just out of the blue. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I just want to say, like, it's interesting with before. It's easy to forget that before Arkham Asylum, all those fighting mechanics and everything that's kind of set the tone for every superhero game since, particularly like Spider-Man and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see them start a completely clean slate and approach a new, like, you know, say the Flash. The Flash doesn't fight like Batman, and there would be no reason to put in those dodge counter kind of mechanics. You could come up with a completely new gameplay set. And
basically what you're saying is, like, create something new for everyone to rip off for the next 6 years.
Exactly, yeah.
No, yeah, dude, I hear you, because when I think of, like, all right, you know, people say Rocksteady should make a Superman game. I think, yeah, but like, I don't really think the free flow combat of Batman would really work with Superman.
But everyone just started imagining like Arkham gameplay, but with a different character.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't want them to do that. I want them to have a look at a character. I'd love to see a Superman game. We know that that's not what they're doing, but I'd love to see a Superman game where they bring that same kind of ingenuity to his other characteristics, where it's like, okay, we solved combat with Batman, now we're going to solve flight or super speed or whatever. And because
playing that Batman game for the Batman Arkham Asylum for the first time and experiencing that combat, you know, wow, it's like, this is totally something new. I never played something like this before, and it's perfect. I want to get that same feeling again, but like you're saying, for a different element, whether it be flight or all these powers, you know.
Totally.
Or hell, even do an Aquaman game. That property is really big right now, and you could do a lot with an underwater setting.
That'd be interesting. Definitely.
I mean, it's something, you know?
A Battlefront remake.
Yeah. Yeah. Figure out how to make that into something salvageable.
Let's do it. Yeah, or Wonder Woman as well, you know?
Dude, Wonder Woman doesn't have her own game. That's bananas to me, you know?
I could imagine something be like kind of God of War 4-ish with that. like a lot of mechanics involving the whip, or just like really like strong but kind of slow sort of like melee combat where you just feel like a kind of a tank.
Yeah, when God of War, the last God of War came out, I started thinking, I was like, okay, this is kind of a new form of combat that other games can kind of start learning from, and
Yeah.
you know, maybe adding their own spin on it, or something like that. Because I mean, it didn't feel as something as new as when the Arkham games came out. But it definitely has a a really good amount of polish, and it takes elements from like some Dark Souls stuff, maybe some Batman stuff, and it is really good combat.
Yeah. Well, I was worried because I thought it would be like really clunky. I was looking at like the demos, and I was like, they want you to do like melee only combat in like a gameplay style really similar to something like The Last of Us. Like the camera is so close, you're a lot slower, you don't really have the same kind of agility, but it really just worked. In fact, I think the combat in like God of War 4 might have like I could piss someone off by saying this. I think it actually was more engaging and fun than the other games because there's like 200 other games that play like God of War 1 through 3. But like I couldn't think of anything that really played like that fourth one. Like that felt like something new.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff you can do with it too. A lot of dynamics in that combat when you mixing up new equipment that you pick up in the game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really make your own. And another point I want to bring up with the Arkham games that you brought up with God of War is the really up close camera. I felt like you also mentioned this, Josh, that a lot of Spider-Man games took cues from Arkham games, and for a while it felt like every game had that up close Arkham Resident Evil 4 style camera. I think.
Oh yeah, even like Amazing Spider-Man 1, like the swinging mechanic had the camera like that close.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh. So for the for the next big superhero game, whatever it may be, and even Spider-Man 4 did this too, where bring the camera back a little bit. I just I feel it works better, especially for traversal.
Yeah.
So
the traversal in the Arkham games is kind of. I went back and played Return to Arkham after Spider-Man, and it's kind of that over the shoulder thing and the kind of the hold R2 to run, or what? Oh no, it's X to run, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of dated a little bit. There's a lot about those games that is obviously timeless, but
like but I could totally agree that some stuff feels like a little weird by today's standards. Yeah, like, well, okay, I think it gets better as the series goes on, though, is that they figured out how to do, like, quick commands for all of the gadgets. So that made, like, using one thing to the other feel a little more seamless. Like, if you wanted to, like, use the grapple attack in the middle of combat, they, like, let you, or you had, like, you had a quick button for everything, and I thought that added a lot of flow, and, like, it made everything a little bit more seamless. But, like, in Arkham Asylum, it's definitely a lot like clunkier and slower. Like you have to
switch
really like slow. Right? Yeah, you have to really like pace out what you're doing and think about everything individually.
Yeah, I brought up a point for when I was talking to someone about someone told me that Superman has too many powers to make his combat work in like a melee sense, like combining his powers with punching people. And I mentioned that thing that Arkham City did, where Batman has all these different gadgets, but you're able to incorporate them into the combat by simple quick commands, combination of R2 and a face button. You can have something similar for a Superman game.
Well, that's the thing, is like Batman or Superman punches like harder or lighter depending on what he's fighting. Like it doesn't, just because he's strong enough to punch a hole through a mountain doesn't mean that's every punch he throws. Like you can have combat where Superman is fighting like normal guys on the street, and granted he would make like really short work of them and they wouldn't really be able to do a whole lot, but like he's not gonna just like just punch a hole in someone. You could have it scale depending on who you're fighting. Like, okay, I'm fighting Street Thug number 29. I'll just give you a light tap. Okay, I'm fighting Metallo. It's got to be one of those like haymakers that like shakes the city. Like that you feel in they're gonna feel this over in like Star City.
Yeah, when you're fighting normal dudes, just going around flicking them in the forehead.
Yeah, right. That's the thing though. Is like the biggest hurdle I think is not Superman's like powers. I think you can make mechanics out of all of those. The thing that I think is like just this like wall to get over that is like holding everything back is the fact that he's invulnerable and bulletproof. How do you work with that? What's the health system like? Can normal enemies do anything to you, or do they just like punch at you while you stand there and not like that? Would there not even be an animation for you getting punched? It would be like they punched a brick wall and are just on the ground like holding their hand now.
Yeah.
Or like someone fires a gun at you, does it just like bounce off? Like, how do you? Everyone you'd fight would have to be one of the big guys like Lobo or Metallo to have any effect.
I don't want to get too deep into it because that is another episode I want to do. But what I will say,
there you go.
I will say that you can look at different interpretations of Superman, specifically the '90s one. I've been watching it. I've been watching the '90s Superman a lot lately, and
I have that whole thing on DVD. I love that show.
Yeah, he gets knocked on his ass quite a lot in that show, and I think it all comes down to how are you going to interpret Superman. You even look at the old Max Fleischer cartoon. He also gets hurt by earthquakes, weapons. A guy will shoot a rocket launcher at him, he'll get knocked down, and he'll be dazed for a bit. So there's been interpretation of Superman that just make him out to be this unstoppable god. But I think if someone wants to make a Superman game, they can't be afraid of this Superman, he can.
So make it particularly known that this is an Elseworld where he's not as strong.
Yeah.
I would buy that. I mean, that's what Injustice is. The Injustice is a game where Batman can punch him in the face, and it works.
Right.
Didn't
they have
they had to come up with a couple of lore reasons, like you take these pills.
Yeah.
You take these pills to become as strong as Superman, so you can get punched in the face by him and not explode, or you can punch him in the face and he'll say "ow." But there's a couple of times in the story where someone is clearly not on those pills and still makes a dent anyway. So it's just like whatever.
Yeah. So closing thoughts on going back to the other one of World's Finest, Batman. Are we going to hear an announcement next month about a new Batman game?
I'm going to go with a soft no. I feel like the Batman brand, I understand that the license is a hot property and you could almost guarantee you'll make money if you put Batman's name on something, but usually these things have a tendency to only come out in close relation to a movie. There's no Batman movies in the works right now, and no matter what they tell you about the one that Matt Reeves is doing, that's not really going anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they're gonna wait until they have something to release it as a companion piece to, because every game in the Arkham series released about the same time as a movie. Dark Knight Rises in Arkham City came out at the same time. Dark Knight in Asylum, about right as they did Batman versus Superman. Arkham Knight had just come out. These things coincide with each other and come in cycles. Same thing with the cartoons. Even every Batman movie in the past, I don't know how many years since 2005 has had a cartoon that went alongside it.
Right. What about you, Josh?
I think I said this in a recent video of mine. I think that I think there will be a Batman game from WB Montreal this year, and I think there will be something from Rocksteady maybe in the next 2 years.
You think the WB? There's a good chance of the WB game being this supposed Court of Owls Arkham Crisis.
If I had to lay money on it, then yeah, I would bet on them. I think we know that there's 2 games in development at WB Montreal, and I would wager that at least one of them is a Batman game.
You guys think that's the Suicide Squad game is ever going to happen?
That cancelled.
That was canceled.
Oh my god!
I believe so, yeah.
I would guess that it has more of a chance if James Gunn's Suicide Squad 2/1 because it's kind of a reboot. If that does well, then maybe.
Right. So you mentioned before, Josh, that there was that Damian Wayne game out at some point. Then there was that Suicide Squad game that got canceled. Wasn't there rumors of like a Ninja Turtles game too by Rocksteady?
I hadn't even heard those.
I don't think that was ever a serious rumor.
It was just maybe like fan requests or something like that, right?
Do a Watchmen game now.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I could see those.
The end is nigh too.
Yeah, that was like an Arkham. Like,
Arkham Asylum is a Watchmen End is Nigh clone.
Yeah, right, because it came before it, right?
Like a month before or a couple of months before, I think. Yeah.
Wow, it's like one of those weird parallel thinking cases, like Doom Patrol and X-Men come out like within the same month, and they have like a weird amount of similarities.
Yeah, Justice League Heroes and Ultimate Alliance. Well, X-Men Legends did exist first, so I guess
Yeah. Has anyone done a video on that, by the way, to compare End is Nigh with Arkham Asylum and like see if there's actually like kind of credence to the idea that they took stuff, or if it's just like a weird case of like they're looking. Well, maybe it's something for one of you guys to work on.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
I'm gonna pitch a multiplayer Batman game.
Do it.
Do it.
So you start.
That'd be awesome.
You start off in the Batwing, and you're flying over Arkham Island, and then 100 Batmen get dropped. And it's called Batman Royale. That's what Rocksteady are working on.
And it is called Arkham City Imposters.
Yeah.
I like that. Man, that would be something.
Oh man, like in every Batman is like a different like one from the cartoons or the movies.
There are enough Batman costumes to have microtransactions to
right.
If this game is free to play, you got a whole bunch of costumes to purchase.
Oh man, you got to spend like $70 to be Adam West.
And don't forget the dance moves.
Right.
Oh, you're right. Oh, but yeah, right.
The Bat 2C.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh shit. That what this has patent this. Like write this down to put this in an email and then email it to yourself so that you could show it in a court of law and say I came up with this when someone rips it off.
I'll let this podcast be proof of concept.
Yeah, there you go. Hey man, DC is desperate for like anything right now. Who knows? Like they might. I would not put it past them to jump on that bandwagon, considering Gotham City Imposters is a thing. It's like, here's Team Fortress, but with Batman.
They made Here's Dota, but DC or
right
that other one
here,
League of Legends.
Here's Ultimate Alliance, but DC.
There's
you know what?
Jared Leto Joker and Harley Quinn in PUBG.
That's right, yeah.
Oh shit, you're right. Oh no.
Possibility, holy shit. My God.
That's so weird, is that Jared Leto Joker is in that and he hasn't been relevant for like
3 years.
When did
Suicide Squad come out? And like now
2016.
and now we're getting like it just came out like the other day, didn't
it? Like I'm saying, they're desperate. They need some kind of like separate source of income other than the comics because the comics industry sucks right now. So they're just like, okay, we're gonna greenlight like 6 or 7 of these animated movies a year. We're gonna get our own streaming service and then like have like 10 different TV shows on there and like make it so that you have to like pay out the ass to be able to watch like Teen Titans. We're gonna have all these weird tie-ins, and then here's every movie we could possibly think of. Just like no matter how stupid the idea is, we'll greenlight it. You want a movie about the trench in Aquaman? There you go. It's right over there. You want a movie about Harley Quinn hanging out with Barbara Gordon? Over there. You want a movie about her hanging out with Catwoman? It's over there. You want 3 Suicide Squads? We know you don't, but here they are anyway.
It was that I saw a tweet. Here's the movie about Superman's left boot or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. From the producers of The Trench, Superman's left boot.
I think there actually is a Suicide Squad game. It was mobile only. I think it's like some kind of first-person horde mode, like survival game on
Diego.
Yeah.
There's an Alfred Pennyworth TV show that is filming right now.
Yeah,
it's about him fighting the descendant of Jack the Ripper.
You know what's a trope I kind of hate when people think that like using the last name of a character is like edgy,
a cool badass title,
like Pennyworth. You know, it's like okay.
Well, DC has had like a weird thing with titles. Like I feel like because Christopher Nolan is a little ashamed of comic books, he called the second Batman movie The Dark Knight because he thought it sounded a little better. And then we get a new Superman movie, and it's like, let's just call it Man of Steel. Like it seemed like they were afraid to use the names of the actual characters in there. Like people were making like fan posters with like the Flash, and it was going to be called Fastest Man Alive. Or like Green Arrow's The Emerald Archer. Like no one wanted to say the names of the characters. They thought that was going to be like the trend for a while.
Wall crawler.
Yeah, Webhead.
Yeah. Oh man, Webhead. Go with that. Absolutely.
Oh, what's another really bad one? Oh, Shellhead.
Oh God.
It's Iron Man 4.
So I mean, yeah, that's how long have we been going on for? Have we hit the?
I can't see from my end.
I haven't set a timer. What if I click on this? But yeah, I mean, any other thoughts on the next Batman game? Have we covered everything?
I think
don't have the Joker be in it because I'm tired of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it is the Court of Owls, that's def. Because I mean, I was kind of pissed when all the marketing for the Arkham Knight was about the Arkham Knight.
Here's this badass new villain. He's someone you've never seen before. He's gonna be better than every Batman villain ever. And then the Joker shows up.
Yeah, and even Scarecrow had like a strong push in all the marketing, and
then he's in like 4 scenes in like a 30-hour game.
Yeah.
He has like 10 minutes of screen time in a 30-hour game.
Let Mark Hamill focus on, what is it, episode 9 we're up to now?
Is he even in that? Like, I think he's a ghost now.
Yeah, kind of like how he was as the Joker.
Oh, you're right. Like Ray is like trying to blow up the 5th Death Star that's like the size of a galaxy now because the series is really creative. And she's like loading these canisters into a device that'll blow it up. She turns, and then Luke is there with his lightsaber pointed at her, and he goes, "Surprise!" And she goes, "Master Skywalker!" And he goes, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And then they just hug.
So yeah, I mean that was auto.
I want to say, going back to like the original rumors and about the credibility or plausibility, I would say if there is any chance that this is true, like I've forgotten where I was going with this now. But yeah, I mean, if there's any credibility to all these rumors, which, you know, it's a playtester, anybody can pretend to be a playtester,
right?
And you know, I'm sure if that is a real playtester, I'm sure Warner Brothers are trying to sue them right now. But
oh yeah,
but yeah, I think it's possible that they were a playtester on a WB Montreal game, and that this is true, because, you know, something we said before we were on air is about the Batwing and how they wanted to put that into Arkham Origins. So there's little seeds of credibility there that if this is a follow-up to Arkham Origins from WB Montreal, then it's possible that they're now going, okay, well, now we can put the Batwing in and stuff. Whereas I'm not sure Rocksteady would do that after the Batmobile.
Because like WB Montreal had like a couple of like original ideas in Origins, like close enough to original ideas that it could distinguish itself. And then Arkham Knight came along and was like, it was a little bizarre because it was like a completely different direction of like natural progression from City. Like both of them are sequels to City, but not each other. So it's like you give the same game, like make a third Arkham game to two different developers, one, you know, kind of small with a lot of like big ideas but no money for it. One that has no ideas and a lot of money, and then just watch how they put out two totally different products.
Yeah. And Rocksteady were pretty dismissive of Origins. You know,
they gave it like at least a couple of passing references, and they even used some of the character models from it. Like Deathstroke is the same model.
Right.
Because I mean, you know, they didn't care. What, do you want us to make a new Deathstroke? He's going to be in like one scene. You just tackle him in a cutscene. Like what? We're going to devote manpower to making a new Deathstroke. You just poured it from the other game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I filmed wrote an intro. I don't have like a cool catchphrase to end the podcast. I was thinking of something like, so the name's Autosaving the Day. So I was thinking something like, if you're worried about dying and losing your progress, if you're not,
remember to auto-save the day.
We're here to auto-save the day.
Checkpoint you later.
That's pretty good. So yeah, I mean,
I think these need work. I'm gonna be honest.
I guess we'll be respawning soon, fellas.
I need your creative juices, Josh.
Yeah.
I wanna
offer. That sounded a little weird.
Yeah. I want to offer up the scrapped name for anybody who wants to use it. It was the Focus Bar and Grill.
That's oh man, that's good. We could have used that for something else.
We'll have
okay.
A spin-off.
All right, we still own it then.
Yeah.
No one uses
it. All right, well,
I'm gonna email that to myself as well.
Yeah. You oh man, you got a big document to write up.
So yeah, so that was the first episode. If anybody out there has any ideas for another Batman game, or if you think Rocksteady should move on to another character and make something original, you can let us know in the comment below. Like I said earlier, this first episode is gonna be put on the official channel for the podcast. So make sure to subscribe to that one. And I guess you can follow me on Twitter at BeholdTheSack. And you guys?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Follow me at Panels to Pixels.
Follow me at Godzilla Mendoza. I have the same account name for everything, so it's pretty easy to find me. Definitely, I mean, if you're someone who's just like showing up just now, please subscribe to Diego. He deserves more attention. He puts out such great videos with so much effort and like so much time put into them, and I feel like he doesn't get nearly enough appreciation for it. Please do me a favor and do that for me.
I appreciate that.
My next video will come out faster if he hits 1,000 subs after this. How about that?
That's a deal. A deal you can't refuse. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time, gang.